and welcome back. This is Susan Milner, also known as McCartney Green. Please visit my website at mccartneygreen.org, and I would love to hear from you. Okay, here we are at book number 14, D&D number 14, Such a Time as This, in Jesus' name. We're on chapter 8. Let's see what happens. January 13th. It is 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday afternoon, Main Street, Pine Forest, Georgia. Justice slowed as he got inside the city limits, the word city on the sign making him laugh because, in his own judgment, Pine Forest was a small, very attractive little town. He'd seen pictures, and now that he was driving down Main Street, it was the definition of quaint. First thing he'd passed inside the city limits was the DQ on his left, and he smiled, because there was an old joke about every small town in the South had at least a DQ and a Dollar General. The next thing he passed was a small bus station, and right next to it, the Dollar General. He chuckled. Across the street from that looked promising for dinner, Sally's Steakhouse. He waited at a red light at Dogwood Trail, a street that had been mentioned in the journals his sister had found and devoured. Looking to his right on Dogwood Trail, he could see a fire station, and just past Dogwood Trail on his left was a large church. As he proceeded across Dogwood, he slowed and read the sign, Pine Forest Community Church of Christ. And then there was a small green space and a gazebo with a sign that read City Park. Across from that was the post office, and next to the post office was Clara's Cafe, which was obviously converted from an older home. He wondered if that home was one of the originals. By the way, I have a complete map of Pine Forest, Georgia, worked out, and I just don't know how to make it actually into a map. I thought I might include it, a picture of it in the books or on the photo album if I just knew how to convert it to a map. Okay, sorry to interrupt. Let's go back to the story. Let's see, Clara's Cafe, which was obviously converted from an older home, and he wondered if that home was one of the originals. Next to the cafe was a large old brick building. It was obviously historical. Well built, lovely design. Across the top of the building, actually engraved into white concrete, it read W.F. Armstrong Building. That too was written about in the journals his sister had found. He was going too slow and holding up traffic behind him, so we pulled into one of the parking spaces to the right that ran along the sides of the street so he could get a better look at the building. It was a commercial space. He counted the storefronts. 3 businesses were being run here: Pine Forest Realty, the Book Nook, and Touch of Class Men's Formal. He nodded in approval because the mannequins in the window were modern and well-dressed. He got out of the car so he could look at the building across the street. It was even larger, and it too was a historical building. The sign across the top declared it as such, the Old Bank Building. He smiled. Just like the Armstrong Building, it was brick and had lovely architecture with brick arches above the upper windows and amazing detail. He knew that work on both buildings had been done by a man named Henry Hawford. Eyeing the storefronts contained in the old building, he saw the Main Street Market, and Emma's Bakery, a vacant space, and then a bridal shop and a florist. One-stop shopping, he thought as he looked down the street. Lovely black iron street lights lined the walks. He imagined those street lights had recently been wrapped in red ribbons and boughs of evergreen. The lights themselves arched out over the parking spaces that ran along each side of the street at an angle to the shops. The sidewalks were clean. The street was clean. The entire place was immaculate. They obviously took pride in their little town. Music drifted out from a large, standalone building on his side of the street, next to the Armstrong Building that took up the entire corner lot. Joe's Family Grill and Bar, it read on a sign out front and on the side of the building. The building was a deep mustard yellow with brown trim. It had large windows with awnings and strings of white lights around the building. He might check it out while he's in town. Across the street from Joe's was a modern bank with a drive-through, and it took up the corner opposite Joe's. He let his eyes wander further down the street, past the street light. The cross street there was Pine Street, of course, he thought. He was pretty sure he could see his destination. But he didn't want to go straight there. He wanted to scout out the area. It was like he didn't want to open the present too fast. He wanted to take his time. Getting back in his car, he pulled out of the parking space and continued down Main Street. He crossed over Pine. There was an old historical home that was now an attorney's office, and then the original mayor's house. Justice's heart sped up, but he forced himself to look away. Glancing across the street from the mayor's house was the Pine Forest First Baptist Church that took up the entire corner, and next to that was another large brick building with beautiful details that said Apple Martial Arts. He'd heard of that because of the young Gabe Tanner, who was currently pretty much an American hero, at least he was in his book. He looked closely at the building as he passed. There appeared to be people inside. He might check that out too while he's here, maybe even take a class. Across from the martial arts studio was a park, and then the famous Gabe Tanner Community Center. He would definitely check that out. The light here at the end of the street was green. He thought about going straight and staying on Main and see what other jewels this town held, but decided to turn right on Hill Street and circle around so he could come back to his true destination. He drove to the next light, where there was an Ingles grocery store on the northwest corner and a gas station and auto repair shop on the northeast corner. He turned right on College Street. On his right was a copse of trees and the back area of the community center. He saw a place called Bucky's Barbecue, and then another historical home that appeared to be a fine dining restaurant called the Dillon House. He came to the next light, which was Pine Street again. On his left was the Pine Forest Public Library, and on his right, a drugstore. If he were to go straight, he could see it was City Hall on the right, taking up the entire corner, and across from City Hall was the Pine County Sheriff's Department. He turned right on Pine. Behind City Hall, there was a large parking lot that was situated between the back of City Hall and Joe's Bar and Grill. Justice thought that that's probably where most of Joe's customers park. Finally, he got back to the light at Main Street and turned right and pulled up in front of the old Sawyer homestead. He simply sat there gazing at the 3-story brick building, actually 2 stories and a large attic. It was old. It was worn. The front door was on the left. To the right of the door was a large arched double window with elaborate brickwork around it. Again, he knew it was Henry Hofford's work. Above the door on the second floor was another arched window, smaller, and above the arched window on the first floor were 2 of the smaller arched windows. The brickwork was intricate and beautiful. The windows would have to be replaced, and the old worn door too, though he would have to have the lovely old hardware. He would have to save the lovely old hardware. The concrete steps walking up to the door were broken. The entire porch and steps would have to be torn down and replaced. He looked around the outside. He would go back to City Hall and see who would be in charge of the sale. The home had been sitting unoccupied for years. He circled the place and started to leave, but suddenly felt the urge to go up the steps and peek in the windows. The porch was small, and he had to lean way over the railing to see in the window, but he really couldn't see much except a dark hardwood floor and the edge of a fireplace. Trying the door, he was totally surprised when it opened. Poking his head in, he looked around. It appeared to be empty. He stepped inside, and just in case someone was here, he knocked loudly on the open door. "Hello? Anybody in here?" Waiting a few seconds to see if anyone answered, he walked into the home. He stood there silently, letting the essence of the place seep in. Then he jumped at a loud thump. It sounded like it came from the back of the house. Stealthily, he made his way to the back. He stopped in awe when he came to a large kitchen, but the kitchen was not what was so awe-inspiring. It was the breathtaking girl standing in the kitchen. Well, actually, a woman, a beautiful woman. She had headphones on and a tape measure in her hands. An open toolbox lay off to one side of the floor. Even that was not what was awe-inspiring. She was dancing, swaying her hips slowly, nodding her head, and then to his delight, she started singing. Last dance for love. Whoever this young lady is, she was good. And then I'm not going to sing this part. Yes, it's my last chance for romance tonight. Her voice was the sweetest he'd ever heard. He couldn't see her face, but from behind she was something. She had a long blonde braid down her back. The tight jeans showed off an athletic body, and whatever the sweatshirt was hiding, he was sure was just as good. Oh, I need you by me, beside me, to guide me, to hold me, to scold me. 'Cause when I'm bad, I'm so, so bad. His brows rose at the lyrics. He knew the song. It was Last Dance by Donna Summer. By Donna Summer. The girl bobbed her head and raised the tape measure to stretch over the length of the countertop. By the way, you should go to Last Dance by Donna Summer and refresh your memory because it's kind of cute what he saw her singing here. Okay. The girl bobbed her head and raised the tape measure to stretch over the length of the countertop. He wondered if she was part of a crew hired to do some renovations to help sell the place. They were about to find that they wouldn't have to worry about that. He knew the minute the tempo changed as she put the tape measure on the counter as she chanted, "Last dance, oh last dance, last dance, oh last dance." She was really gyrating her hips now and began jumping up and down and then spun around and she screamed. He held his hands out and started apologizing immediately, while at the same time she stumbled backward and tripped over the toolbox. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to sneak up on you. I'm sorry." He said the words while his eyes took in the most beautiful face he'd ever seen. Big blue eyes looked up at him, wide with fear. His eyes traveled down to see that she was reaching for a weapon tucked inside the front of her jeans, and he immediately stepped back and held his hands in the air. "Don't draw, please. I didn't mean to scare you. The door was open, I swear. I'm sorry. I knocked. I called out." She kept her hand on the hand grip of the gun. "Step back." "Can I help you up?" She shook her head. "No, step back, please." He stepped back. "Farther," she said breathlessly. He stepped all the way back to the threshold of the kitchen and watched as she untangled her legs and stood up, her breath still coming fast. She looked the man over. He was clean, actually well-dressed, and looked harmless enough. "I'm sorry," he said again. "I didn't mean to scare you. I was looking the place over and came up to peek in the window, and when I touched the door, it opened, and I couldn't resist coming in." She nodded. "The lock on the door is not aligned. It takes a great deal of effort to get it to close, so I left it open." He smiled at her voice. It was soft and sweet, like when she was singing. He drew a breath. "I knocked really loud, and I called out to see if anyone was here, and no one answered." She nodded again. "I had headphones on," she said, stating the obvious. He smiled. And then I heard you start singing, and I really couldn't move. You had me mesmerized." She laughed. "Right. I'm not kidding." She blew out a breath and took her hand off the gun. "So you're not going to shoot me anymore?" "I'm not sure yet," she said. "So you said you were looking the place over. You want to tell me why that is?" "Because I want to buy it." Her brows rose. "Buy it?" "Yes." "Well, sorry, but it's not for sale." "Are you sure?" "Because the last information I had was it's been sitting empty for years." "Well, that's true, but it's not for sale." "The town doesn't want to make the money for the sale?" "They already made the money. It's not for sale because it's been sold." "Since when?" "Since the middle of December." "Oh," he said softly. The disappointment washed over him. He felt immediately defeated. "When did you get the information that told you it was for sale?" Lily asked. He sighed. "Well, I admit it was 7 months ago, last June." She shrugged. "That's some pretty old information." He nodded. "Well, do you know who bought it? You must know because you're here working on it, right?" "Yes, I know." "Do you think they might want to sell it?" She shook her head. "Well, can you give me the names of the people who bought it? Put me in touch with them?" "I'm really not supposed to give out their information, but it doesn't matter. As soon as they bought it, they signed it over as a gift to someone else." He sighed again and then looked up. That's quite a gift to give someone." "Yes, you're sure right about that." "Do you know who they gave it to?" "Yes." "Do you know them well?" "I do. Very well." "Will you put them in touch with me?" "Maybe." "Okay. Well, let me give you one of my cards," he said as he reached in his back pocket. "You see, I've driven a long way to see this place." "Really? Where did you drive from?" "Topeka, Kansas." Her eyes opened wide. "Oh. Well, that's a very long way to drive to see a place based on old information. Maybe you should have called." He sighed. It's actually a long story and a personal story." She smiled and shrugged. "I've got time." Well, that's very kind of you to hear the long story of a stranger, but I'm tired. I've driven all day. I have to go check in at the place I'm staying and have a decent meal. Maybe I could talk you into sharing that meal with me." She smiled sweetly, which almost took his breath away, but then she shook her head. "Sorry, I can't. I have to work tonight." "Oh, well, how about tomorrow?" She frowned. "I'm not sure." He nodded. "I get it. I mean, you don't even know my name, and I don't know yours, so what is your name?" She smiled and held out her hand. "I'm Lily." He nodded and took her hand. "Hello, Lily. That is a beautiful name for a beautiful girl." She blushed. "Thank you." "I call it like I see it. I'm Justice," he said. Justice? Now that's an interesting name. A hard one to live up to, but I'm trying. He smiled. "So are you still not sure about tomorrow?" I'm a little busy." "Okay. So how about just coffee? I mean, may I buy you a cup of coffee tomorrow morning?" "Where?" He looked up with a grin. I guess I'm not sure. Do you know of a place nearby?" She nodded. "Front Porch Coffee is a good place. It's just on the corner of Pine Street and Church Street." He nodded. "I'll find it." "Meet me there at 8, she said. "I am very much looking forward to it." She smiled. "Do you know where you're staying tonight?" "I have a reservation for a cottage at the Pine Forest Country Inn." "Really? Well, that's a nice place." "That's what I hear." "Do you know how long you'll be staying in town?" Lily asked. He shrugged. "Until I convince the owner of this place to sell it to me." She shook her head. "Well, that's probably not going to happen." "You never know. Maybe for the right price." "Money doesn't mean much to the owner. There are so many things more important than money." "Well, I agree, which is why I'm willing to spend whatever necessary to buy it." He frowned. "So, by the way, what are you doing here?" She smiled. "I was getting some measurements to see what kind of renovations to make for the kitchen. It looks like it's going to be a gut job." "Are you an interior designer?" "Oh, only when it comes to kitchens." "I see." He smiled as he looked her over. "Are you okay? I mean, from falling down, did you get hurt at all?" She shook her head. "Nope, I'm pretty tough." "I believe you." He finally fished a card out of his wallet. "Here's my card. It has my personal number on there. May I have your number?" She sighed and then nodded. "Hand me your phone." He unlocked it and handed it to her and smiled. "Please don't ghost me." She gave a soft laugh. "Try it." He pushed the button and her phone began to buzz in her back pocket, and she pulled it out and held it up. He nodded in satisfaction. "Well, I guess I'll be on my way, Miss Lily." "It's nice to meet you, Justice," she said softly. She watched him as he turned and headed out. She went to the door to see what car he drove. It was a dark gray Chevy Tahoe. He wore tan cargo pants, a white knit shirt, and a brown leather jacket. He was about 6 feet or so, same height as Gabe maybe, and looked athletic. He had light brown hair and brown eyes and very pleasant-looking face. Cute in a manly sort of way. She wondered how old he was and why it was so important to him to buy this place. Of course, that was not going to happen, because this place was Lily's place, and it would remain that way. He drove away, and she lifted the car to see what kind of business he was in. Senior Assistant VP of Marketing for Pure Foods. Her eyes opened wide. Wow, that's impressive. Pure Foods is a go-to for the inn and would be for her own restaurant. She looked closely at the name and then blinked and looked again, making sure she saw what she thought she saw. Justice Sawyer? Sawyer? A Sawyer who drove all the way from Kansas to find this particular building? This home? Could he be related to the original builders and owners of this house? She felt dizzy. Her heart was beating a mile a minute. Could this be possible? She wanted to call Daisy and tell her what had just happened, who she thinks she just met. But there was no time, because she had to get home and get changed and get to work. New scene. It is still January 13th, 2:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Monday afternoon, Ameritech Training Center, Lake Ridge, California. So far, Gabe, Hall, and Blade were leading the pack. They made it through the max out on the weights. Gabe, Hall, and Blade each made 2 times their body weight. The others were close behind, averaging in the 315-pound to 335-pound range. Sit-ups, crunches, burpees, lunges, and more were excellent from all 12 newbie agents, yet Gabe, Hall, and Blade made it through a little easier than the others. Now they were running wind sprints, and Gabe wanted to stop. Excuse me. And Gabe wanted to stop. He fought the nausea. He worked through it. He looked beside him. And I'm sorry. I just got a notice on my phone, and that was strange. Okay. He worked through it. He looked beside him and saw Dial go down. He turned and watched him. He got up on all fours and vomited. Gabe watched to see if he would get back up, and instead he laid down in the dirt, and Gabe jogged over to him. "Tanner, you may not help him," the drill commander yelled. "I won't, sir," Gabe yelled back. "He has to do this on his own. You may not touch him." "I won't touch him, sir," Gabe replied. "Unless he pisses me off," he mumbled under his breath. He bent down over Dial. "Get up." "I can't, man. I am done." "You are not freaking done. Get up." "I can't." "You say that to me one more time and I'll beat you to a pulp. Now get your butt up. Now. Work through it. Get up." Hall stopped his run and came to stand over Dial too. "You better get up, man." He kicked him in the thigh. "Get up. You can do this." "Now!" Gabe yelled. "Right now!" Dial got back up on his knees and slowly raised himself to stand. Gabe nodded. "Now! I don't care if you have to stop and throw up 10 more times. You will finish this drill. You got it?" Dial nodded. "Got it," he mumbled. Gabe and Hall ran beside him. "You do not have the option to fail," Gabe said as they ran side by side. "You do not have the option to quit. Sorry, you ended up on my team, and my team doesn't quit. Does yours, Agent Hall?" "Nope, it doesn't. My team doesn't quit. We won't let you quit." "How do you guys do this?" Dial asked. "Well, it gets easier," Gabe said. "I've been there. When Grandmaster Kino was training me, he promised me that I'd eventually stop throwing up. And he was right. You will get past this, and it might be hard, but you're gonna be glad that you stuck it out. You can do this, Dial." "I can do this," he muttered. The three of them finally finished the drill and went to join the others as they stretched, but the drill commander had other ideas. "Tanner, Hall, line up on the line." Gabe frowned. He'd had a feeling he was going to have to do something like this if he stopped to help Dial. Oh well. "You will run full speed to the cones. You breathe for 10 seconds and run full speed back. If you don't beat your original times, you'll do it again until you do." Gabe and Hall lined up. The whistle blew. They took off. When they got back, they found that they didn't make their time. "Line up." Gabe looked at Hall. "We're going to do it this time. Push hard." He nodded. The whistle blew and they took off. When they got back, the rest of the guys were cheering for them. "Go! Go harder! Go!" They crossed the line. The drill commander looked at his stopwatch and nodded. "Good job." They collapsed in the sand. "Stretch out." They rose up and began the stretch routine. "And now you're making everyone else have to wait on you." "Sorry, sir," Gabe said. "Sorry, sir," Hall mumbled. When they finished their stretch, they were allowed some water. "Okay, grunts, you might remember that it's a mile back to the dorms. You will accomplish that at a run. Do not stop. If you have to throw up, do it while you're running. Once back at the dorms, shower, dress, clean your shoes, sweep the floor, and be ready for chow." "Yes, sir," they all yelled. It is still January... Oh, new scene. It is still January 13th, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday evening, Pine Forest Country Inn, Pine Forest, Georgia. Justice Sawyer stretched as he woke from an impromptu nap. He checked in at the inn, been driven to his cabin in a golf cart by a beautiful Asian woman named Jody Apple. She explained that her husband usually drives people around, but he's currently teaching a martial arts class. He'd asked her where would be a good place to get a healthy meal, and she'd claimed that the best place was right here at the inn. She said they have a highly acclaimed chef working with them and assured him that all of their ingredients are organic, non-GMO, all-natural, grass-fed beef, and all-natural dairy, raw, and ultra-fresh. So he got settled in the cabin, which was very nice, homey, comfortable, and clean, kind of like the town. He'd taken a long hot shower, stretched out on the bed, and fallen immediately to sleep. It was the best sleep he'd gotten in 6 months. He lay there thinking about his arrival in Pine Forest. It was indeed an amazing little town. It had a vibe. It had a light about it. He actually stood in the house of his ancestors from 6 generations ago. It was like the sketch he'd seen in the journals, almost exactly like the sketch. He smiled. And the beautiful Lily was a surprise. He was fascinated by her. She looked like an angel. Blonde hair, blue eyes, sweet smile, and that voice. The voice of an angel as well. He'd scared her, and she'd almost pulled a gun on him. He chuckled. Good for her. Tough girl. Tough Southern girl. He found himself very much looking forward to seeing her for coffee tomorrow morning. He rose and dressed. He was told he could come to dinner any time between 5 and 7. He was hungry and didn't want to wait another minute. He grabbed his wallet and key and headed to the main building. The delicious aromas hit him before he ever got to the giant front porch. A large man smiled widely at him as he came in the front door and came forward with his hand outstretched. "Hello there. You must be Justice Sawyer." Justice smiled. "Yes, sir. Are you John Apple by any chance?" "I am indeed. So how do you like the cottage? Everything satisfactory?" "It's perfect. I took a little power nap, and I think it's the best sleep I've had in a very long time." "People say that a lot here. Well, are you hungry?" "I am, and whatever's on the menu smells delicious." "Good. We've passed the first test. Please come into the dining room and have a seat. You've come at a good time, so it's not crowded. The Christmas and New Year's crowd all went home, and now we have only a few guests at the inn." They entered the giant dining room, and his eyes got big when he saw the huge table. "Well now, what an amazing table this is," Justice said as he ran his hand over it. "Must be very old." John laughed. "I'm not quite sure how to take that." Oh, no, I meant like a beautiful antique. "It's about 60 years old. It was built by the husband of the woman who used to live here. The inn itself is much older than Maddie was, though. It's almost 160 years old. Miss Maddie passed last June." Justice sighed and nodded as he remembered how his life went this past June. He pushed it from his mind. "Well, it's a beauty. I thought I'd be sitting at a little table all by myself." "Oh, no, not here at the Pine Forest Inn. We're a family and treat everyone else as such." John gestured toward the 2 women already sitting and eating. "This is Mrs. Arlen and her daughter, Miss Kate." Justice nodded at the woman and the daughter, who was also a grown woman. He would guess their ages as 50 and 30. "Hello," Justice said. "Nice to meet you." He took a seat. John leaned over. "Since there's only a few guests at the inn right now, we are allowing our young daughter to get some practice waiting tables. She'll take your order and get your beverage. She'll be right out." Justice nodded. "That will be fine." "So, Mr. Sawyer." "Oh, please call me Justice." "Justice it is. By the way, that's a pretty cool name." "Thanks." "So, Justice, you wouldn't happen to be kin to Nolan Sawyer?" "Nolan? No, sorry, I don't know a Nolan Sawyer." John nodded. "I guess Sawyer's a pretty common name." Justice nodded. "Does he live here in Pine Forest?" "Well, yes, he just moved here from Tennessee. He's starting a ranch. So anyway, our entrees tonight are Moroccan apricot chicken or pan-seared salmon with kale and apple salad. And of course, there's always a delicious ribeye or strip steak from our own ranch next door. Grass-fed, no antibiotics." "Wow, it all sounds good." "I'm loving the salmon," Mrs. Arlen chirped in. "And I'm loving the apricot chicken," her daughter said. Little Hannah Brown came out of the kitchen and smiled at Justice. "Hello, Mr. Sawyer. I'm Hannah, and I'll be your server today." "Well, hello there, Hannah. I didn't expect you to be so young." She frowned. "I'm 13. "Oh, well, I suppose I'm a bad judge of age." "Oh, no, that's okay. I look younger. What can I get you to drink today?" "We have cucumber-infused water, plain water, which is well water and very good for you, lemonade, all the sodas, raw milk, raw chocolate milk, that's my favorite, or something stronger, which my dad will get for you." Hannah beamed up at her father, and John smiled back at Hannah. Justice nodded. "How about a glass of plain old good for me water and a lemonade on the side?" "Yes, sir, I'll be right back." "Cute kid. You must be proud," Justice said to John. "Proud, yes, and happy to see her coming out of her shell. She's my foster daughter, and she's been through a hard time, but we love her like our own and hope to keep her forever." "Interesting. Would love to hear that story." "Well, then stick around long enough, and maybe we'll find some time to talk," John offered. "I intend to stick around until I accomplish my goal." Well, that too sounds like a story, John said. Of course, he knew that the young man was here to buy Lily's house from her. He knew that Justice didn't yet know that Lily was the owner. He also didn't know that Lily was his chef tonight, but he would know that little piece of information before the evening ended. Hannah came back with Justice's beverages. She held a pad and pen in her hand and placed a laminated picture in front of Justice. Mr. Sawyer, tonight's entrees are Moroccan apricot chicken. She reached over and turned the picture over. Or pan-seared salmon with kale and apple salad. Which one do you think you'd like? Justice looked closely at both pictures and smiled up at John. I don't suppose I could have some of both, 'cause I'm a bit of a foodie. Hannah looked up at John. He nodded at her. Of course, sir. I'll be back shortly, she said politely. Justice smiled. Mr. Apple, while I wait, will you sit and tell me a little bit about Pine Forest? John pulled out a chair and took a seat. I'd be happy to do that. What would you like to know? How long have you lived here? Almost 23 years. So you weren't born here? No, I was born in California. Oh, well, that's a long way to come. John nodded. My wife, Jody, and I, we wanted to leave the corporate world, and the opportunity to come out here and make a new start with our own business was too good to pass up. So you own this place? We're part owners with Lisa Stewart, who lives with her husband down the street on the Stewart Ranch. That's where we get the beef. But we not only own this place, but the inn being built in town on College Street, and 4 more in the southeast, though this is the only one that we run personally. We love it here. Your wife said you teach martial arts. Yes, I own a string of martial arts studios. I saw one on Main Street, so how did you team up with Lisa Stewart? Well, she used to work in that corporate world in Cali, and she came home to Pine Forest to visit her grandmother, who lived here in this big old place by herself because her husband had passed away, Maddie Lewis. She's the one this table was built for? Right. And Lisa used to be the VP of Golden Hotels, and it had it in her blood and transformed an old farmhouse into this amazing inn. Well done, Justice murmured. And you have the one daughter? No, we have a son. Jake is 22. He's a Marine Raider. Oh, wow. Very cool. John smiled proudly. He's walking in my shoes. Oh, you were a Raider? That's right. He's deployed right now in Afghanistan. I thought we pulled out of there. We did. Some didn't make it. He's there evacuating the ones who got stranded in the melee. Well, you must be very proud. I mean, a Raider is special forces, right? That's difficult to achieve. I am indeed proud of Jake. He's the youngest Marine Raider on record. He smiled. But enough about me. Tell me about you. Where are you from? I'm from Kansas. I'm the Senior Assistant VP in charge of marketing for Pure Foods. Ah, Pure Foods. No wonder you claim to be a foodie. Justice smiled. I am always in search of a good, healthy meal, especially when I'm traveling. Assistant VP, John said with approval. That's pretty high up. May I ask how old you are? I'm 27. Wow, so that's pretty young to have achieved that high of a position. Justice smiled. Well, it's the family business. I was sort of a shoo-in. Though I do work hard and I do love the company, and we try to do it right. John nodded again. So now you're off on a little vacation? Well, of sorts. I'm doing some research into this area. I'm into history, you could say, and Pine Forest intrigues me. Well, we're so glad you chose to come. Hannah pushed her way through the swinging doors at that moment, holding homemade bread on a cutting board with a ramekin filled with the fresh raw butter. She placed it down on the table in front of Justice with a sweet smile on her face, then turned and went back to the kitchen. Justice cut a piece of bread and buttered it and set it down, and John watched him as he bowed his head briefly and then looked up. John smiled. Hannah returned with 2 plates and set them down in front of Justice. John nodded at her. She drew a breath. Is there anything else I can get for you? Justice smiled at the young girl. Oh, no, I'm good. Hannah, you've done a wonderful job serving me. Thank you so much. She smiled. You're welcome. I hope you enjoy it. We have the best chef in the world. It looks amazing, he said as he took a bite of the bread. John rose. Well, I'll leave you to it. I have some wood to bring in so we can have a cozy fire tonight. Justice stood quickly. It was a pleasure chatting with you, Mr. Apple. You as well. Hope to talk more with you later. I'm looking forward to it. He sat down Fix a typo. He sat down and dug in and struck up a conversation with the two ladies at the table. I didn't mean to be ignoring you ladies. I was just curious about this place. Oh, that's no problem, Kate said. We listened to your conversation and found it intriguing. Tell us all about yourself. He smiled. Well, I'm boring. Tell me about yourselves. Where are you from? Why are you here at this time of year? The women began to talk, and it kept his mind occupied while he devoured his meal. He simply smiled and nodded his head and urged them on to speak. They obviously had a story themselves to tell. Everybody did. He was always interested. They finally talked themselves out and excused themselves. They wanted to go into town to check out the entertainment at the Ritz, a cocktail lounge in town. It seemed the moment he finished his meal, Mrs. Apple, Jody, he remembered, came to take his plate. Did you enjoy your meal? He smiled. You know, I love to eat good food, and I've been in hundreds of fine dining restaurants, but that might be the tastiest meal I've ever had. It was exquisitely seasoned, perfectly cooked. You get 5 stars from me. Jody smiled. Oh, we love to hear that. So, Justice, we have lemony yogurt butter pound cake, which is warm and buttery and delicious, or the chef's special angel food cake with organic homegrown blueberry compote and fresh raw whipped cream, and of course, we have homemade ice cream. His eyes opened wide. Well, I was going to say I've already overeaten, but that sounds too good to pass up. Which one? Jody asked. I'll go with the angel food cake. Wonderful. Be right back. It took her only a minute to return with the beautifully plated dessert. Oh, man, this looks amazing, he said again and took a bite. So good, he murmured. It didn't take him long to finish, and again Miss Jody Apple appeared just as he did. Mrs. Apple, he began. Call me Jody. He nodded. Jody, I have to say, that was the best meal I've had in a very long time. As a matter of fact, I can't remember enjoying a meal more. My compliments to the chef. Thank you. She's a gem. She's learned how to cook from Miss Maddie, who was an amazing chef. Miss Maddie had several write-ups in the big magazines. She handed all of her recipes and knowledge down to our young chef, who was freshly graduated from culinary school. Or would it be possible to meet her? Does she have time to step out of the kitchen? Because I would love to tell her in person just how much I have enjoyed her creations. Jody smiled sweetly. Of course she has time to step out. We had a very small crowd this evening, though we are expecting some locals to come to eat in about 30 minutes. He nodded. Well, I would love to meet her. I'll go get her, Jody said, and headed into the kitchen. Okay, girl, you're on, Jody said when she closed the door of the kitchen. He's asking to meet the chef. Lily twisted her hands together and drew a deep breath. Oh, Aunt Jody, how do I look? Do I look okay? Jody giggled. You look like a woman who just finished cooking a 10-course meal. Lily frowned. Great. Go. You started this. You have to finish it. Lily looked into the mirror on the back wall, pushed some wisps of hair off her forehead, made sure there was no flour on her cheek, pasted a smile on her face, and went out. He turned in his chair to see if it was the chef who came out of the swinging doors and frowned as she approached. Lily? She smiled. Hello, Justice. You're the chef? She nodded. I am. You're kidding me, right? No, I'm not kidding. Why didn't you tell me? She shrugged. Well, it felt like it would be too forward to immediately tell a stranger where I work, and I thought it would be fun to surprise you. I knew you'd find out because Aunt Jody always convinces people to stay here to eat. People get a healthy meal at the end. He nodded. Well, Miss Chef, that was the most enjoyable meal I've had in a long time. It was perfect. She smiled. Thank you. I love to cook. Well, it shows. He allowed his eyes to roam over her. It looked like she still had on the same jeans, but she wore a white short-sleeved button-up shirt and an orange apron with the N embroidered across the front. Her amazing white blonde hair was still in a braid, and she wore a black chef's ball cap, again with the N embroidered across the front. She nodded. Well, I guess I'd better get back to work. Wait, he said quickly. Can't you take a break, like for just 10 minutes? Sit and talk to me for 10 minutes. Miss Jody said you weren't expecting any more patrons for a while. She sighed. Okay, I guess I can spare a few minutes. He immediately stood and pulled out the chair next to him and ushered her into it. Then he turned his chair sideways so he could look at her. She smiled nervously. So what do you want to talk about? You? She shook her head. Let's talk about you instead. He smiled. We're going to talk about me tomorrow morning over coffee. Let's talk about you. She shrugged. Okay, but there's not much to me. Sure there is. You cook like the head chef in a 5-star restaurant. You sing like an angel. You dance like a pro. She rolled her eyes. And you design kitchens for people. She giggled. But let me start with the question, he went on. Okay, what's your last name? Oh, my last name is Tanner. Tanner? Are you related to Gabe Tanner? She nodded with a smile. He's my little brother. Well, my not-so-little brother. Why, do you know him? No, I know of him. Who doesn't? Right? He smiled. So you're one of his 5 sisters. Interesting. One of his 5 older sisters. We have 2 little sisters. Oh, wow. How many kids are there? There are 9, 7 girls and 2 boys. That sounds like so much fun to have that many siblings. Oh, it is, especially when Gabe's around. He's a trip. And when he's gone, like he is right now, we miss him terribly. I bet. I watched his chat this morning. He's having quite an adventure. His brow furrowed. You know what? I think I remember you in one of his longer Sunday live streams. I think he was doing a church session at your home. Lily nodded. Yeah. He wasn't feeling very good, so we decided to bring church to him. He smiled, his eyes dancing. Oh, that's great. I like it. I think you guys are a pretty cool family. Oh, thank you. Do you attend a church here in Pine Forest? Yeah, we usually go to the Community Church of Christ on Main Street. Oh, I saw it as I came into town. Yeah, so I'm guessing since you asked that and since you watched Gabe that you too are a believer in Jesus? I am a devout believer, a devout follower, though I admit I've had some struggles lately. Really? Would you like to talk about it? No, not yet. We're not talking about me. She sighed. Fair enough. So if I recall, Gabe's sisters are twins, right? Well, some of us are. And are you? Yes, my twin's name is Daisy. Daisy, cute. Who's older? I am. Cool. And do you like living here in Pine Forest? Oh, I love it here. Would you ever leave? She smiled. Well, never say never, but for now I can't imagine ever leaving my home where I've been so loved and so happy. He nodded. It seems like a really wonderful place to live. Oh, it is. I have to say, Lily, sitting here, watching your face as I ask you questions, I am totally entranced. I can't stop looking at you. It's like I want to think of another question to ask so I can see your eyes as you formulate the answer. I'm enjoying trying to see if the question makes you smile or frown. You are intriguing. She frowned. Well, I'm not quite sure what to say about that. He smiled. And that is the perfect answer to what I just said. Of course you wouldn't know how to respond because you're humble and a little shy and modest, and you don't even understand just how beautiful you are, which makes you even more amazing. She sighed because she also didn't know what to say about that. Are you carrying right now? She gave a shy smile. You're not supposed to ask people that. He chuckled. So you are. She shook her head. No. Here at the inn, I'm perfectly safe. Uncle John was Special Forces. Aunt Jody has a gun nearby and is proficient. My father is Special Forces. Uncle Chaz is ex-military. I'm good. Your father is staying here at the inn? Oh, no, we live right next door. Ah, that's nice. And who is Uncle Chaz? Chaz Stewart. They are the neighbors on the other side. She pointed toward the ranch. And the Stewarts and the Apples are related to you? No, but I've known them almost my whole life, and all the kids from the 3 families, we called the other parents uncle or aunt. A giant family, he said softly. Exactly, she smiled. Our family is huge. So do you have a large family? Any brothers or sisters? He cleared his throat. That information is coming with coffee. She sighed. Well, all righty then. But really, I guess I'd better get back to work. We have the Pine Forest Ladies Book Club coming for dinner, and they should be here soon. He stood when she stood. It was very nice talking to you, Lily. Thanks for keeping me company for a bit. My pleasure. And again, the meal was exquisite. I'm glad you liked it. I guess I'll see you at 8 in the morning. He nodded. Yes, ma'am. See you then. Smiling, Lily headed back to the kitchen. She sighed. It was a pleasant enough conversation, simple, basic. He had her totally intrigued, and she couldn't wait to hear his long and personal story. She wondered if possibly he would reconsider and go back on his word. After all, she was a stranger. Though sometimes people can tell strangers things that they can't tell the people closest to them. Deciding she would go back out and caution him that he'd better come through with his story, she poked her head out, but he was gone. Okay, well, she thought, we'll just see what tomorrow brings. New scene, it's still January 13th. It is 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday evening. We are at the Tanner home, Pine Forest, Georgia. Lily came in through the kitchen door and smiled at her sister, who was finishing up the dinner dishes. Hey, Daisy, Lily said. Daisy smiled. Hey, yourself. Late dinner? Daisy nodded. Yeah, Dad worked late and Mom is tired, and so I waited for Dad and sat with him while he ate. Oh, you such a good daughter, Lily quipped. Daisy smiled. Such a good dad. But actually, I wanted some time to talk to him, and I wanted to let him know that I'd like to drive up to Tennessee to see Brody play next month. I could tell that he really wants to tag along, but he's allowing me to have my freedom. Lily shook her head. Oh, I'm not buying it. He's probably going to send an agent to watch over you without you knowing about it. Daisy giggled. Probably. Though I think he's more interested in seeing the games than protecting me. She eyed her sister. Okay, so, sis, are you going to just stand there and pretend like you didn't meet someone really important today? Lily smiled, her eyes getting wide with excitement. Nope, I'm not going to pretend that at all. Some guy walks into my place today, and first he says he's looking the place over because he wants to buy it. And I told him it's not for sale, and he wants me to put him in touch with the owner. And I asked him why he's so interested to buy it. And he said it's a long, personal story. And I said, well, I have time. Daisy laughed. Why? I mean, why would you be interested to hear some strange guy's long and personal story? Well, it was like I knew almost immediately that he wasn't just some investor. He had a connection to the place, and I wanted to see what that connection might be. So he said he couldn't tell me right then because he'd been driving all day and was tired and he needed to get checked in, and then he asked me to have dinner with him. Ew, some strange guy immediately asked you to dinner? I know, but it wasn't like that. It was like he wasn't some stranger. It was like he was an old friend, and that's just the feeling I got. And he's staying at the inn. Well, that part I know, because Aunt Jody told Mom, and Mom told me, and she said his name was Sawyer. Right, which totally freaked me out. I mean, Daisy, could it be that he's one of the great, however many greats, grandchildren of Knox Sawyer who built the house? Wouldn't that be cool? What else could it be? He drove all the way from Kansas to this town to buy that place, and his last name is Sawyer. It's too much of a coincidence. Daisy nodded. Well, I think you're right. So, when are you going to let him know that you own the place? Well, I consented to have coffee with him in the morning. He promised he was going to tell me his long and personal story. So you made a coffee date with a guy you only met today? Yes, I did. I mean, he's not going to pick me up or anything like that. I'm just going to meet him at front porch and hear him out. Okay, so what does he look like? He's very handsome. He's young. He's well-dressed. Very handsome. In what way? What does he look like? Well, he has light brown hair and thick and kind of windblown. He has dark eyes, maybe brown, maybe hazel. He has a really nice face. Daisy sighed. Nice like who? Lily shrugged. Nice, sort of like CJ. Nice like maybe a young Brad Pitt or like Chris Hemsworth. That's not nice, Lily. That's hot. Lily shrugged. Whatever. He's about Gabe's height and weight, very athletic looking. Daisy smiled. He sounds dreamy. Lily giggled. He kind of is, I guess. How old is he? He's 27. I can't wait to meet him, Daisy said. Well, I'm sure you'll meet him eventually. Although who knows, after tomorrow when I tell him that I actually own the place and have absolutely no intentions of selling it, he might just go back to Kansas and lick his wounds. Lily sighed. Well, anyway, I'm tired and I need to get some sleep. I don't want to have big bags under my eyes in the morning. Well, I'm coming too, Daisy said. Are you going to tell Dad that you have a coffee date with a stranger in the morning? Lily laughed. Let me do that right now. Daisy waited in the hall as Lily went down and knocked softly on her parents' bedroom door and poked her head in. Hey, guys, Lily whispered as she didn't wake the babies. Hey, honey, her mom said. Is everything okay? Yes, I just wanted to let you guys know that I have a coffee date in the morning at Front Porch Coffee. Her father looked up. A date? With a guy? Lily frowned. Yes, sir. Is that so hard to believe? No, of course not. Is this date with someone I know, or is it with the guy from Kansas who just drove into town today? Daddy, she whined. He shrugged. Small town, and word travels fast. Lily sighed. Oh, how I know. Let me guess the path. Aunt Jody, Uncle John, and straight to you. He shook his head. Nope. Aunt Jody, Lisa Stewart, your mom, to me. There was another chain that went from Jody, Lisa, Chaz to John to me. It doesn't really matter. The question is, were you not going to tell me? Oh, Daddy, of course I absolutely was going to tell you as soon as I got home. That's why I came in here. Keegan smiled. He never really doubted her. I heard he gave you his card. She nodded and handed it to him. You can't keep it. Take a picture of it and give it back to me. Keegan did it immediately and handed it back to her, then smiled at her. Do you want me to check him out? No, unless I go missing, she joked. He rolled his eyes. Sweetie, I can tell you're pretty excited about this. Yes, I am. A guy comes into town who just might be the great whatever grandson of Knox Sawyer. I've been obsessed with the house and the story for like forever. Isn't it crazy? So did you ask him if he was related? No. Yes, I mean sort of. I asked him why he wanted to buy the house, but I didn't tell him I was the owner. Keegan nodded in approval. Good girl. But he told me the reason was a long and personal story, and when I told him I had time to listen to it, we made the coffee date. Lizzie spoke up. Why did you tell him you had time to listen? From what Lisa told me, at that time you didn't even know he was a Sawyer. Lily shook her head. Wow. I guess Aunt Jody didn't leave out any details, but really, Mom, I'm not really sure why I said that. It's like I just felt compelled to listen to his story. Would the fact that he's an extremely good-looking young man have anything to do with that? Lily sighed. Remind me to smack Aunt Jody, but, well, to be honest, it didn't hurt. He's so cute. Oh, well, at least she didn't say hot, Keegan put in. Oh, he's hot all right, Lily said, making her mom giggle. Keegan shook his head. Okay, well, anyway, Lily girl, just so you know, I will be tracking you. Oh, I'm depending on it. Keegan smiled at that. I'm going to go get some sleep. I love you guys. Daisy poked her head in. Me too. Good night. Good night, girls, Keegan and Lizzie both said. Keegan's phone buzzed, and he glanced at the screen. Got to take this downstairs. Good night, my angels. He hurried toward the stairs. What you got, Dalton? He said as he headed down. Lily watched him go and frowned. She poked her head back into her mom. Is Dad going to be working all night? Well, sweetie, I hope not. But there are a lot of cases going on right now, though it's possible. Well, then, if you need anything, don't be afraid to call us. Thank you, baby girls. I won't. Good night, Mom. Good night. Habakkuk, chapter 1, verse 5. Look,